How we doing? Fewer speakers left. You guys are great. Give yourselves a round of applause for braving this cold weather. But you know, we're Wisconsin, right?
Yeah!
We brave weather worse than this for the Packers. And Scott Walker is important to our, just as important to our state as the Packers.
Yeah!
But more important, because as Wisconsin goes, so goes the nation. Everybody is watching Wisconsin right now. Scott Walker's success is imperative. So in our list of speakers, the following speaker is our state treasurer, Kurt Schuller.
Hey, it's cold. Thanks for sticking around. I have one word to say about the crowd of people we had at the start of this rally. Awesome! It is great to see such a strong show of support for Wisconsin's own Governor Walker. This is a definitive moment not only for our state, but for our nation as well. And in case you don't know it, you are part of history. Wisconsin is ground zero for the national conservative movement, and the eyes of the entire nation are watching this struggle to see who will prevail. I firmly believe as Wisconsin goes, so goes the nation. We are here today to stand strong and firm with Governor Walker. But I have to tell you, there's good news and there's bad news. First, the bad. You remember a fellow by the name, I think his name is Reagan? Ronald Reagan reminded us 30 years ago that freedom is never free. It's always one generation away from extinction. My fellow conservatives, the bad news is, I am convinced this is the generation. The good news is we have the leadership and the courage led by Governor Scott Walker to turn the tide and to reverse course back to life, to liberty, to the pursuit of happiness and individual responsibility. But make no mistake, the threat is very real. And to ensure that we do not fail Scott Walker, he needs you. He needs your friends. He needs your family. He needs your time. He needs your treasure. And he needs your support. What happened here in Wisconsin in November of 2010 was merely the staging ground for the final struggle to return us to fiscal sanity and put us back on the road to prosperity. The chaos that followed the common sense changes made by Governor Walker was puzzling to me until I heard a speaker at a Heartland Institute symposium bring up an issue called the tyranny of the status quo. In a nutshell, that theory believes that in this country we debate issues sometimes for a long time, sometimes for a short time. Sometimes that debate goes on for, a long time, sometimes for a short time. Medicare is a great example of that. What it says is that we debate the issue, we figure the law, and then we forget about it. It becomes status quo, never to be debated again. The tyranny of the status quo is what has held back our state for 40 years. Here in Wisconsin, our tyrant was the entrenched public worker and school unions. They became a akin to a third arm of government. So was their power. It's no wonder Governor Doyle drove the Wisconsin economy into the ditch. He had 3 or 4 pairs of hands on the ship of state. It's hard to keep a straight course and make progress with more than one captain under control of the ship. Then came 2010, and we, the people of Wisconsin, said enough. Not only did we elect Scott Walker, but we gave him majorities in both houses. And Governor Walker did what no governor that I can remember in my lifetime. He took on the tyranny of the status quo, and he toppled it. He forced WEAC to lift its oppressive boot off the necks of our public schools. And he returned the schools to the students and the administrators. That time-worn WEAC slogan of every child deserves a great school now has a real chance of no longer being a tired and meaningless slogan. Under Governor Walker, it will become reality. But as history has shown us, tyrants do not give in very easily. They are by nature tenacious, and they do not go away without a fight. So we had chaos in the Capitol as the tyrants of the status quo rallied their troops by the thousands, clogging our beautiful Capitol, harassing our leaders, subjecting Special Olympians to a cadre of misguided zombie protesters. And while the struggle has died down at the Capitol, it is far from over. Even though we erased Governor Doyle's $3.5 billion deficit, even though we laid off almost no employees or teachers, and even though almost no school had to cut programs or increase class sizes, and even though property taxes had their smallest increase in 15 years. Governor Walker did all of that without raising a single tax. But the tyrant was not sued. The tyrant said, recall the Republican senators. They failed. Now the tyrant says, recall Scott Walker. And the by any means necessary tactics of a small but very vocal minority have been on full display for the people of Wisconsin. The multiple incidents of intimidation, the attack upon the governor's children, the threats to a teacher who had the audacity to dare to disagree with them. They have no moral center. They do not care about the middle class, and they will literally stop at nothing to get back control of our state and give it back to the generous masters they serve.
Not happening!
You will forgive me, please, because I'm going to borrow a phrase from former Governor Jim Doyle. We cannot, we must not, and we will not allow the tyrants to win! This is why we need you now more than ever. Scott Walker and the legislature stood up for us. It's time for us to stand up for them. Thank you.
Good job.